right? It's always important to question everything. And I encourage all of you, even after watching my show, and be sure to like, comment, and put in some watch time, because that's what's going to count as a view now. August 13th is around the corner, and they're going to be implementing new policies, possibly in which you have to show your ID now. Isn't that going to be fun? But besides the point, don't fall for it. And it looks like Nick decided to push back against Tucker. So what caused this? I think it's only fair that we at least play this. And let's go. Let's go ahead and play it.
I'm being accused of being the CIA by Peter Thiel's best boys, by Tucker Carlson with his daddy. Tucker Carlson's, and you know what? Here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. Well, okay, you're not right about all of that.
Gotta clear things up here.
But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson says, I have so many trust funds, I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all of the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel, and I was punished for it.
Well, I mean, okay, look, and I know Nick has had a lot of hot takes, but let's see where this goes. Hold on, because it gets a little bit better, because we got video clips of Tucker. Hang on.
I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel last year. And I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, by the federal government, by the conservative movement that both Candace and Tucker were a part of. Candace and Tucker had nothing to say about Israel until it became unavoidable last year. Not popular, but unavoidable. And now they want to gatekeep me out and do this personality attack and say I'm a bitter loser in my basement from Chicago. I'm a kid from Chicago. And they slipped up there because they forgot for 1 second that they're pretending to be the spokesperson for exactly that kind of person. Tucker's mask slipped, and he forgot for a minute that for 8 years, he's been pretending to care about the plight of weird kids in their parents' basement who are broke and didn't go to an Ivy League school, living in cities that don't matter like Chicago, not like Washington, D.C. or L.A. or New York. And that's why he had such disdain and contempt for me in that moment. Between the personality attacks, he's lonely, he's weird, he lives in a basement. I'm sorry, did you guys forget that that's your target audience that you're trying to pander to? Did you forget that for 2 seconds? And I'm the inauthentic person? I am that person. I am a spokesman for the disaffected white man because I am one, and you two are not.
Well, grab some popcorn because the right's having its civil war. And I think we have the clip here. And no, wait, we do. Sorry. We do have the clip here. See, this is why I respect my lovely, beautiful viewing audience and my team. So shout out to the Hard Lens Media Network. We got the clip here, in which probably did cause Nick to get very aggressive towards Tucker and Candace Owens.
Candace Owens got married to British royalty worth $200 million after meeting him for 2 weeks on Zoom. What the fuck is even that about? And Tucker Carlson's dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire fighting the Soviet Union. He went and fought with the Contras when he was in college. When I was in college, I was doing a webcam show in my friend's dorm room criticizing Israel. So who's the CIA cutout? Who's the inauthentic one? Who's the crazy, hateful one? I would never describe a well-meaning young white person who's trying to get ahead as a weird kid in his basement from Chicago. And what is that supposed to mean? What is wrong with being from Chicago? What is wrong with being weird? What is wrong with
Well, there's weird ha-ha and there's weird uh-oh. Okay? So there you go. Hey, look. Hey, people say stuff about Hardlands media all the time, and you know what? You just got to roll with the punches. But being from Chicago, hey, there's nothing to be wrong or be ashamed of being from Chicago. I'm gonna say this: I wasn't aware that Nick was from the city. All right, I didn't necessarily know that, but okay. Hey, there was a point where I was even shocked, like a couple years ago, that even Tim Pool came from Chicago. I guess there's something in the water. Actually, there is industrial waste, lead, and other wonderful, fantastic materials. Check out our 2 documentaries that we did on the toxic tour. Yes, I know. Hold on. Dan Barr says, I know a weird guy from Chicago. By whom are you speaking of?
living in your basement? That's a lot of people because of the problems you claim to care about. Tucker's at Turning Point USA extolling the predatory nature of usury and how it's preventing young white men from getting homes. And then the week after says, you're in your mom's basement. So which is it? Do you care about Klarna and people going into debt to order pizzas and home ownership being impossible? Or do you think that's a contemptible, low status thing to be ridiculed and mocked? Who's pandering here exactly? Because that wasn't you. You were born to the Swanson family fortune and your daddy who ran the CIA. You know, my dad didn't even graduate college. My dad worked for the tollway. His dad died of a drug overdose in the 70s. My mother's father was a garbage man in Chicago, and he committed suicide. He was a veteran of World War II. Who's the CIA cutout? Who's the poser? Who is America? I am America. Chicago is America. That's an American story. I didn't go to Yale Law School and suck Peter Thiel's dick and then get a sinecure.
Dude. Damn. Well, hey, you know, that don't worry. We got the Whitney Webb segment coming up, folks. You know, when we talked about how there's going to be another Epstein around? Step aside, real life human beings. We're going to have the all-seeing eye of Palantir. I mean, Sauron. I mean, the Imperial Inquisition. I mean, what? Following you and getting all the blackmail material it needs. That's right. Whitney Webb's going to be talking about Peter Thiel.
At a venture capital firm, advising Rebecca Mercer, and writing hillbilly elegy and talking about it at the Aspen Institute. That's your biographical credibility? How many of these disaffected white people that love Trump because he's racist went to Yale Law School and got plucked out by Peter Thiel, whoever he even is? Peter Thiel, with his fixation with the Antichrist, this homosexual who's involved with the CIA, wants to live forever and govern the world with AI. Yeah, that's really relatable. Do another show with him and Curtis Yarvin. Do another show. Do the 47th show with JD Vance. It is insulting, and it is insulting to everybody's intelligence for Tucker to sit there and say he doesn't know his dad is in the CIA, for him to say that I'm in the CIA.
Hey, who's in the CIA? You know, we did a segment in regards towards the dead internet theory and at how possibly maybe 50% of the World Wide Web is all bots. Hey, by the way, if you're a robot in the chat, type 1 for no, Kit. I'm a flesh and blood human being. Beep, boop, beep. Type 2, Kit, prepare to be assimilated. Because, you know, look, there is always that concern And I remember this even when Hardlands Media got started. There was always talk of people in our communities or live stream chats being CIA adjacent or CIA informants or everything else. Everybody's in the CIA. You're in the CIA. Hell, the way they're spying in on us all right now, inadvertently, you are probably CIA. You've probably talked to a bot or bots before, and that's it. So who's a real boy? Who's a real girl? Huh? Talk to me right now. Tell me who's a real human being. So first of all, in regards, before I played a clip that probably got Nick all angry, I do want to pull up this clip. Shout out to Big Mad Crab, who retweeted this out. I too miraculously knew Tucker's dad was CIA before he did. What's going on?
When Tucker Carlson is asked about any of his connections to the CIA, he always seems to give a very confusing mix of responses. In an interview with a former member of the CIA, Sean Ryan, he was asked about it. He recounted how everyone around him growing up was in the CIA because his father was. Despite this, he also says that he had no idea what the CIA really was.
You were trying to get into CIA.
Yeah, as Vladimir Putin reminded me. I don't know how you knew that. Yeah.
No, wanna know why? Because that's Putin. He used to be KGB. KGB, you know me. That's hey, full stop, full pause. Putin was a KGB agent. All right. Why do you think he's still in power? Okay. The man knows things.
I applied to CIA when I was a senior in college.
What did you want to do for the CIA?
Operations. Yeah, it was completely different organization. Well, who knows what it was, actually? I don't know. I mean, I was operating on the basis of a lot of my father's friends served as operations officers. Some really wonderful guys. I guess I probably shouldn't name, but who were always at our house and were just legit interesting people. So I applied to CIA, and that whole application process this was 1990. And I should just say, for the record, that I had no idea what the CIA was, actually. And I didn't believe any of I think Kermit Roosevelt actually lived right down the street from us.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh, man, that's cool.
This isn't particularly relevant other than this being like a CIA super spy. Kermit Roosevelt Jr. is a very famous intelligence officer who worked in the OSS and then the CIA. He was best known for his role in orchestrating the 1953 coup in Iran.
But I didn't know. I mean,
Which caused no problems whatsoever further on down the road in the 70s, leading to the current environment that we are in today, right? I mean, nothing wrong happened. Nothing terrible happened. Everything's fine. It's not like a national government that had Democrat or / Republican principles in which the people of Iran had like an elected government. And, I guess the top crime that said government officials were doing was wanting to nationalize their oil, which, I don't know, seems reasonable. And then British and American and oil companies and British and American intelligence assets, along with Eisenhower and the British government, did a coup and replaced it with the Shah, a government and institution that became so oppressive that it was soon replaced by the Ayatollah and a religious government. And since then, no problems happened afterwards. Everything's fine. Don't ask questions. Just be quiet.
that was just the world you live in Northwest DC. I never thought any of it was bad. And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it. I'm a sworn enemy of the CIA at this point, no doubt about that. I just wanted a life that was interesting. I wanted to see stuff.
This would all be a lot more believable and less conspicuous if he hadn't ended up becoming one of the most influential conservative news pundits in American history. Tucker Carlson himself says that he comes from a CIA family and that his father worked for the CIA. Alan McLeod of Mint Press writes, Richard Carlson is an important journalist and high state official who was appointed by Ronald Reagan as director of the U.S. Information Agency, USIA, which oversees Radio, Liberty, and Voice of America, which Dick was also the director. Together, these outlets are part of what the New York Times called a worldwide propaganda network built by the CIA. Their goal is to bombard enemy countries with regime change propaganda. Until the 1970s, Radio Free Europe was directly funded by the CIA. Richard Carlson would have been running Voice of America and then the branch of the CIA that oversaw Voice of America at the height of the Cold War. basically the broadcasting wing of the CIA's propaganda machine.
With the backing of CIA, of course. The organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand. We should thank God they didn't let you in. Although, it is a serious organization. I understand.
Oh, damn. That's kind. Hey, look, that's what you call.
And here's what I.
Oh no, wrong one. Wrong one. That's what you call an.
Oof. 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 Oof.
My former vis-a-vis in the sense that I served in the first main directorate, Soviet Union's intelligence service.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
Who blew up Nord Stream? Well, yeah, did Tucker Carlson blow up Nord Stream pipeline? Damn, Putin. You didn't have to hurt him that hard. Didn't have to punch him that hard. But I do want to pull up the video now. The video in question that caused Nick to snap, right? Because look, here's the full takeaway of what we are seeing with the right. You know, everyone was consolidating around Trump. Let's be clear. The Biden-Harris administration was not doing itself any favors. You had Joe Biden, a senile old goat. You had Kamala Harris, who clearly was less popular than him. And look, if you're a Democrat watching this and you're right now jumping up for joy, I wouldn't be jumping up for joy because the thing is, Democrats, you had an opportunity. Really, you did. Well, under Biden, theoretically, if things were a little bit different, if the spices were maybe a little bit different, if actually people did give a damn about the American people, you would not be seeing a second Trump term. But nonetheless, the Democrats' failure was a huge favor for the conservative movement, the Trump movement. And a lot of people, just like what we saw with the Bernie Sanders movement that never really saw any fruition because Sanders was a nutless cuck of a wonder, Trump was able to capitalize on it. And you had people, everybody was friends. And, you know, looking back at it, it's sort of like how I felt in 2016 and by proxy a little bit in 2020 before it all came crashing down, before the left had its huge fracturing and splintering. The right's going through that too. But the thing is, what's interesting is that it's going to get a little bit more rougher. I think it's going to be knives out because Trump, being who he is, you know, everyone's thinking like, oh my goodness, I can't believe Trump did not follow through with Epstein or follow through in 24 hours to get a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Oh, he should be bringing peace in the Middle East. No, he's not going to do that. What makes you think he's going to do any of that? This is Donald Trump we're talking about. And like any other politician, they're going to take a dump in your hat. Don't be surprised when they give you the middle finger. Don't be surprised when a president or any politician decides to spit in your eye. And now, a lot of people in 2024 that was part of that big Trump coalition, they're in a weird spot now. Some are disavowing him. Some are stepping away. Others are doubling down. And in turn, that you're going to have fractions and fighting. It's you want to grab yourself some good Chicago style popcorn, okay? The cheddar cheese and caramel one. It's going to get tasty. So I want to pull up this video here. This video here that was on Tucker Carlson's show.
Okay, has it occurred to you that, and I just want to say, I haven't watched a lot of Nick Fuentes in my life at all. But what I've seen, the guy's very talented. Like just as a, well, let me just say this, as someone who's talked to cameras his whole life, it is very hard to sit and just like riff for 20 minutes. And I think it's an amazing skill, and he has that skill. But I also have noticed, that his targets are all people who are sincere, non-crazy, non-hateful opponents of neocon politics.
Right.
So you have to kind of wonder about that. So Nick Fuentes is like, oh, I don't like the neocons. But then his targets are J.D. Vance, Joe Kent. He got involved in Joe Kent's campaign with a super. Oh, yes. You, me. And it's like, What is that?
Dave Smith.
Dave
And I asked him
Smith?
about that because that's a question that I had. So I did the right thing by asking him to his face. What's up with this? Like, why do you attack Dave Smith? You say that like your biggest critique is that America's being controlled by Israel. Then you have Dave Smith, who has been such a sound voice. And by the way, opposite experience with Dave Smith. I have my podcast. He's a fantastic human
One of
being.
the
I
nicest.
judge
Dave
people.
Smith is one of the nicest people
Fantastic
ever.
human.
Yes.
And so I judge people according to my experiences with them. And so Nick is being judged according to my experience with him.
But like, what is this?
I don't
And
get
where
it. I
does
don't
the funding
understand
come
it.
from? I probably shouldn't even say this, but the only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video a few years ago of him attacking me. And I was like, so I'm looking at this. And I'm like, well, first of all, this kid's really talented, like legit. And I can assess that just having done the job for so long. So it's like, wow, lots of talent, native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. And my father dies, and I learn actually, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to.
Okay, I want to take his word for it. Maybe air quotes, because sometimes you're shocked. Like, sometimes you find out stuff that about your family that you never knew, that you never ever knew. I didn't know that my Uncle Bernie was actually part of the United States Army Air Force, and it was actually stationed in Japan back in the day. For about 6 years. I mean, that was something. And I still have a lot of his photos and of his aerial training before he was deployed overseas during the Second World War. He was a photographer. So, there you go. Hey, sometimes you find out stuff. But living such a comfortable life, having a lot of trust funds, which must be great. Okay. A side eye right there. You telling me you did not know? You didn't know when people from the White House would be knocking on your door? It's sort of like that. It's sort of like Godfather 1 and 2. We're not going to acknowledge Godfather 3. That there was nothing suspicious about Michael's family and Vito, and in Godfather 2 that there was nothing suspicious about Michael's business in Las Vegas and everywhere else and having connections in Cuba. I mean, come on. You're telling me you're not part of the outfit?
Believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who does this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. Well, how would he know that? And
Wait, so that was his critique of you? Because I didn't see it.
Someone just sent me this video and it was
Jacqueline, that's how it works in all independent media. That's how it works all across the board in social media. Sometimes you got to be a shock jock and be controversial, but there's always a price to it. There's always a price. I like to think that hard lens media is pretty popular, to here and there, but it's like pushing the envelope. But see, there's always a price, a huge price when you become controversial, because then you're expected to be controversial 24/7, and there does come a point of no return, and there's always the crash out. It always happens. It always happens to everybody, across the political spectrum. We've seen it before.
It's like, you can't believe anything Carlson says because his father was in the CIA and he's a CIA working on behalf of the CIA. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and I actually feel emotional in my anger towards CIA. And I think that comes out on the air quite regularly.
Right.
And so the idea that I'm working for the CIA is like deranged.
Well, if it helps, he said I'm funded by Russia now. Since the interview, he then did a thing and said I was funded by Russia.
But you would be a lot more likely to take Russian money than I would be to work for the CIA, because you would never take Russian money, and you're not Russian. But I mean, I really hate the CIA, and I mean,
right.
That's like very offensive to me. So why would you?
It's like personal for you.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyway, like, who is this kid exactly?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just an accident that the guy exclusively goes after people who are in roughly the same. And then he gets up there and he's like, making Holocaust jokes. And it's like, is it possible that this is like David Duke? And David Duke, every time I had a new show, David Duke would endorse my show. I don't know, who the hell is David Duke? Well, David Duke is obviously part of a campaign to discredit people on the right, obviously.
Mm.
And I think it's very obvious that Nick Fuentes is exactly the same. Doesn't mean everything he says is false. It doesn't mean he's not talented. He's enormously talented. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. I'm not attacking him personally, but he is clearly part of a campaign to discredit non-crazy right voices.
You know,
That's obvious to me. I've been
I
around
don't
a long
understand it.
time. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't understand it. We were very kind to him. Like I truly, like we almost said, like we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
Oh, they felt like he was lonely. Okay, well, look. All right, this is a little bit of high school drama. I know. A lot of you are like, okay, this is drama, but there's significance to this. There's a lot of it, and it's a cycle. And I was expecting there to be a Trump fallout, or is that a more of an infighting, maybe 2 years down the road, not 7 months into Trump's first year. Okay, I wasn't expecting anything of that nature. I wasn't expecting this to happen so soon. And what's causing it really is Donald Trump himself. I mean, the actions of his administration, the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, the fact the economy, things aren't getting better for working class citizens. And in fact, owning a home now it's not a dream anymore. It's a myth. Like the legends in antiquity, like the ancient Greeks or the ancient Romans or the ancient Egyptians. That's what home ownership is going to happen in America. Okay, it's going to be viewed as a mythology, like the three-headed Hydra or the Cyclops or Medusa herself. Okay, you also have to add in the fact there's the Epstein files and how Donald Trump and his administration, they didn't fumble the ball. They didn't make a mistake. They are knowingly trying to do everything they can to backpedal away from a fire in which they lit. There's the gasoline can right there. The matches are in their hands, and they're trying to run away from it. And a lot of right-wing pundits are in a very interesting spot here. And especially when it comes down to Israel and the war in Gaza, there's also a huge divide there as well. We're also seeing it happen in the Capitol Hill. We're seeing how you have Republican congressmen and women, most notably MTG, talking about funding about Ukraine, how it's wrong, and also out-lefting AOC herself. So the right and a lot of its pundit leaders, a lot of its podcast leaders, a lot of its influencers now have a tough decision to make. And in turn, some are going to be going after each other. We saw this on the left. We saw this throughout 2016, 2024. All right. And of course, the true fallout didn't happen. The true big fighting, knives out, really didn't happen until 2021. That's when it started. After forced to vote, that's when the entire conflict took place. I remember like it was yesterday. I mean, of course, yes, there was some fracturing throughout 2016 and 2020, but it didn't happen till 2021. But that was 5 years. That took 5 years. This infighting in the right is happening 7 months in. And when you have such hypercharged emotions, everything's going to be coming out. Now, we all know about Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin. Putin said, hey, no, didn't you try to apply to be CIA? I mean, I find it questionable with Tucker saying, oh, I didn't know. You kind of knew. You had to have known. It's sort of like with families when they had a relative in the outfit, this thing of ours, the mob. All right. Just saying, how is it that you didn't know? You should have known. There were some hints here and there. There's always going to be a hint. You don't say it out loud, but you kind of know. You kind of do know. But of course, people have to save face. So what I do want to ask all of you, hold on, John Frost. John Ford, sorry about that. Nick is lonely. Nick is gay and weird. He lives in his parents' basement. When they bring up David Duke, Tucker is bringing up every MK Ultra CIA outlet. Absolutely. And good morning to the Hardlands Media Nation. Absolutely, indeed. Let's go ahead and play this.
And
it's clearly it's
and then it was a 180. So it's either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's that
could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Or it's what you're saying where he does this, he's lying to everybody and pretending that things are one way when it's not. I can say
why is he attacking Joe Kent, who, Joe Kent worked as a CIA contractor, paramilitary contractor. He's in the U.S. military for years fighting our neocon wars. And his wife was killed in Syria in one of those wars. Joe Kent is the single most sincere critic and I would say the one with the most credibility in the United States to say this foreign policy is bad. It killed my wife. I was a part of it. Joe Kent is actually someone the CIA doesn't like at all because he understands how it operates. And for Nick Fuentes, who's like some child from Chicago, to go after him
All right, you can't call him a child from Chicago. He's a grown man.
specifically, one congressional seat in Washington State.
That is random.
It's not random, though. It's the opposite of random. Joe Kent was number one on the list of people they wanted to knock off, people who believe in our neocon foreign policy. They wanted Joe Kent out because he could stand up and say, I actually know. I've got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria. You had to take that guy out. And Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in a super PAC to bump off Joe Kent. Like, I've been around this my whole life. I know what that is.
All right. And I think wrapping this segment up. Okay. First of all, it ain't over yet. The hot tea, the drama of it all, the drama and pain of it all. Number one, holy cow. There is the idea of what it means to represent a political movement. Okay. When we saw on the left, you had a lot of people getting upset at, I guess, let's call it those who were carrying water for the squad, or Bernie Sanders, or saying, hey, we got to support Hillary. Hey, we got to support Biden. We're the real progressives. We're the real fighters. Well, we just got to hold their feet to the fire. And anyone that's questioning us, oh, how dare you? You should be canceled, censored, and suppressed. And trust me on it, that bitterness still remains, because I'm seeing outlets, TYT, now talking about Epstein, talking about Democrats being failures now. And it's sort of like, okay, hey, great. It's so great to see you here. It took you what, 8 years, 5 years to get here now? Thank you for finally catching up. Where were you from the beginning? Oh, that's right. You guys were so busy hobnobbing with the Democrats, getting that nice Democrat money. The thing is, what we're seeing here, though, is amplified on steroids, the Republican Trump infighting. Now, I will say this. If you are a regular Trump supporter, do not fall into the same trap, because even I fell into the same trap of following leaders or following people or podcasts. Don't fall for these factions and groups. The main idea, the main thing right now is that people need to focus on what is really causing problems, and that is the establishment that is constantly keeping us divided and hating each other. Now, we here at Heartlands Media want to be inclusive and encourage everyone to do the following things. First of all, question everything, call out everything. Number two, we want those Epstein files released, okay? Number three, don't fall for the duopoly. Break away from the two-party system. Don't waste your vote on Team Red or Team Blue. Number four, don't fall for any podcaster. And I get it, because there are channels that I like too. But you can't fall for that cult of personality. And number five, look, I'm not a CIA asset, but by proxy, all of us are CIA assets, okay? They're all spying in on us. They're all following our messages. They're all following what we're doing. And by proxy, you are a CIA agent, and you are a CIA agent, and you are an NSA asset, and you are an NSA asset, and you are an FBI informant. And finally, it's Trey.